My sister is holding my nephews for ransom, ruined my relationship with my fiance and dad. So a couple of days ago my brother-in-law called me and said, "Hey, your mother is in a lot of pain and she's tired. Can you watch my kids? I have to go to work, I wanted to see my nephews, so I said yeah." Recap: for the people that don't want to click the link, my twin sisters, TS, fucked me up physically and mentally for years, and I just found that out because she wanted a lot more of the inheritance money that was originally given to her, and she sold my grandfather's chair if. However, everyone found out she an ass because she decided to push me at her son's birthday party. So she's not talking to me, she's blocked me on everything and she is blaming me for her actions. However, I've been checking up on her and her husband, and she's losing her shit. But she is not letting me see my nephews until I give her her portion of my inheritance. My nephews spent about 5 hours here. Then my phone rings. Picked it up and my twin sister immediately started yelling at me, "Why do you have my kids?" I told her to calm down and she started yelling at me more, "Why do you have my kids? You know you're not allowed to be around my kids anymore. Mom watched them. They're fine going to mom's." I remind my sister that our mother is handicapped and she cannot chase a toddler I'm around and take care of a 3-month-old baby by herself anymore, that's why I always go over there to help. Well, I'm not allowed to speak/see my nephews because I won't give her my inheritance money, and she was on her way to pick him up. She hung up and I immediately called my brother-in-law. He said he would meet TS there and try to calm her down. My brother-in-law beat TS and arrived first. A few minutes later TS arrived and started arguing in the driveway. I was from the upstairs window because I wasn't in the mood to deal with her shit. My fiance took the kids outside and put them in my brother-in-law's car, then they left. About 5 minutes later my twin sister called me and explained how I shouldn't talk to her, to talk to her husband, that I chose my family, I kicked her out of my life. I was like, what about my nephews? Y'all, I heard the smugness through the phone. "Well, if you to see my kids I would like that $100K you promised me." No. I want the whole $300K. I deserve back for all the trouble you caused me, I sat there dumbfounded. I asked, "You want all my inheritance now?" And my sister said, "Well, if you want to see your nephews, yeah, she is holding my nephews hostage because I won't give her some of my inheritance. And now you want all of my money." I just hung up the phone, *CK that noise. My brother-in-law apologized for TS again and I said, "This is not your fault, stop apologizing," he said hopefully and TS can be sisters again, but I told him that probably won't happen anytime soon. I told my boss what happened when he came home and he shook his head, and said, "I'm too old for this shit." However, that is not over. So this morning, Oz, my fiance, fake name, woke me up and explained that we needed to talk. He asked me if I ever slept with Zeke, a friend of my boss, a fake name. I was confused. Oz shows me his phone and my twin sister, like the scummy bitch she is, sent Oz old screenshots of conversations with me talking about my SE*UAL experience. See, my sister likes to get other people in trouble. She did this with all of our siblings. If TS is in trouble, she would use something you have done something or told her in confidence to get you in trouble, just to get the heat off of her. So my twin sister told my fiancé about all of the SE*UAL things I did with the caption, "She's not so innocent as she seems." I originally told us that Zeke was just one of the people that I did something strange, for a little change for. However, the screenshots that my sister sent him explained the truth, that Zeke and I were in a 4-month relationship. So my twin sisters are dirty bastards. I went into great detail about the relationship and I understand why Oz was upset. It was supposed to be a one-time thing. Zeke got back with his ex-wife. I felt like he used me and we never spoke about it again. And I never told Oz about it because it's kind of hard to explain that I was 18 and slept with a damn near 50 years old man. It wasn't healthy for either. He wanted a warmed mouth. I got attached. He apologized, but I never really told anyone about it besides my sister and one of my boss's kids. I'm friends with his kids, and the last time I talked with him was when I was playing Phasmophobia with his daughter. We are friends now, but it took me a long time for me to be in the same room as Zeke. Oz and I talked some more and things settled down, but this isn't over. Enter my dad. So I've been getting a lot of calls recently from numbers I don't recognize and I don't answer them. But this morning I woke up to a phone call. I thought it was one of my friends, so I answered it. I was surprised when an angry Egyptian man started cussing at me. "Alizi, what did you do?" I was like, "Who is this?" Then he yelled at me in Arabic and I realized it was my dad. He started screaming, saying I'm hurting my sister, I'm taking food out of his grandchildren's mouths, that my sister needs that money. I don't respond to anyone talking to me in Arabic. You only can talk to me in English, but in Arabic, I will not respond to you. I don't call myself Egyptian cause I try to disconnect myself from my father, and the only time I talk to him is when to check in on him because he's currently dying. So I said, "Dad, I'm not going to talk to you if you keep talking to me in Arabic. Speak English." He stopped and talked to me in English. It was quiet, then he started ranting on me about how I could disrespect my culture, blah blah blah, and I just hung up on him and did not take any more of his call, and went back to sleep. Until the boss came in on the phone saying my dad was at our old house screaming at his nephews, who are the new owners. I rolled out of bed and drove to the old house, and when we arrived, my sickly dad and my stepmom were yelling and banging on the front door looking for me. I just rolled down the window and they both charged at the car and asked my dad what the foo *K was he doing. They immediately started screaming at me out of breath, "You are an ungrateful child. You're disrespectful. Your sister does everything for you. You've always been jealous of her, her business, her successful career, of her husband, and you're jealous that you're single and you don't have a man and no one will love you because you're fat and ugly. This is usual for them because my twin sister was the favorite among the two of us. I didn't recognize it until I got older. TS got bikes, more food, got prettier clothes, and my mom has always been pissed when dad gave her twin sister things and then they gave me nothing. My father's other children took their hatred for my twin sister and put it on to me. The only one I bonded with was my transgender sister. Eventually, I stopped going over there because I was getting sick and tired of being mistreated. Oz rolled up the window and asked what I wanted to do. Call the big guns or call the cops. I was sad and tired and wanted to go back to sleep. I don't want my sickly father and stupid stepmoms to go to jail. I looked at my dad as my stepmom spit on and banged on the window, then said, "Call the cavalry." Who is the cavalry? Do y'all remember, Philip, you know that 6'8", 300 pounds pure muscle, a tattooed Muslim man with autism, that can crush your head between his hands without even trying? So, the man that lives in my boss's old house was Philip, and he came out pissed as hell. My dad and stepmom cowered immediately when they saw him. He stood by the car door and just looked terrifying as usual. My fiance and I got out to talk to my sperm donor. I took a deep breath and calmly asked what they were looking for. My dad, like the stubborn bastard he is, started screaming again, but with one aloud, "Shut up," from Philip, he immediately stopped. I sighed and told my dad to go home, but it was too early for them to be out. My stepmom looked me up and down and called me a *E because I was in my nightgown and not wearing pants. Oz took one look at my stepmom and commented on her mustache. She covered her mouth and I burst out laughing. My dad was about to yell again but stopped and remembered that I was using my guide dog privileges. "Philip," my stepmom told Oz that he was rude, and my dad asked who he was. I introduced Oz as my fiance. They were shocked. Now when I say Oz is out of my league, I am Jabba the Hutt and he is Princess Leia. Yeah, that level of out of my league. Maybe it's because he is constantly high or that he's dumb, that Oz is willing to settle this low. So if your lowlife, fat as hell, unattractive daughter tells you she is marrying this red-headed, ex-football player, man-child, eyebrows will be raised. My stepmom called me a liar and I just pointed to my engagement ring. Oz shook out his hand to my father and said, "Nice to meet you, Dad." My dad just stood there. This man has called me every name under the sun to make sure I knew I was trash, and no man will ever love me. It finally hit him that I am lovable and I can get a man that is built like a Greek god. And it pissed him off. See, my dad wanted me to marry a man from his home country to the point where he would try to set up an arranged marriage and try to sell me off to the most disgusting man you ever saw. He started screaming, "You can't marry this man. You can't marry this man. You can't marry this man. I am your father, you have to listen to me." Philip was about to step in but Oz beat him to it. "Shut up, you faced Jacka *s. You're just as bitchy and catty as TS." My dad said that Oz shouldn't have called his daughter a bitch, and Oz scream, "What the foo *k is Alizé then? Because you've been calling her out of her name, insulting her this whole time. You are a poor excuse for a man and God, I hate you. Now you have two options, stay. And this huge motherfu gestured to Philip, can make you die quicker. Or you could also stay and this dude, points to Philip again, charges you with trespassing and that person behind you, the cop who lives across the street that was also watching the whole thing, can arrest you. So are you going to piss off?" My stepmom was like, "So you're just going to sit there and let this man insult your father like this?" And Oz said, "He isn't her father. Any man can be a dad, but it takes a real man to be a father." With that, my father let out a stormed off to the car, dragging his wife with him. After that I just needed a hug. I didn't cry, so that's good. It was a weird experience, but I needed to do that. I needed to confront my dad even though I didn't do the talking, it still felt good to get it off my chest. I thanked the cavalry for helping me and he told me to pay him back in pizza. And now I am getting phone calls and text messages from relatives that I haven't talked to in a long time, because my dad went to my Instagram and took one of my photos of me and Oz, and acted like a proud father on Facebook and that he's proud that his lovely daughter is engaged. Thank God he doesn't know I'm pregnant.